So Hot Takes, the hottest sports betting podcast on the planet.
I'm Sean,
I'm Luke.
and welcome back to Not So Hot Takes. I know what you're thinking. Isn't there a third one of these idiots usually? Yes, there is. Your mind's not deceiving you. Sam is. He's on IR for the week. We'll leave it at that for his privacy.
Yeah,
But
definitely a little sick, but so prayers up to Sam.
yeah, he couldn't push through and talk about football. I know it's so hard for him, but nah, we'll lay off the kid. I guess we'll cut him a break. But welcome back. Not so hot takes. No college football episode last week, so we're coming back better than ever. Coming back round two, the quarterfinals this week. The first round, a lot of chatter about them. Everyone's got their own opinions. Uh, People were at games. It would have been cool. Would have been good to hear Sam talk about the game he was at, but we do have another guy here who attended a game. First, Luke, tell me a little bit about the experience, man.
Dude, it was brick at Ohio State. I'll tell you
Yeah, I
that. It
bet.
was cold. It was like 17 degrees. Wind chill was like 13. I had on a pair of regular socks. I had a pair of wool socks on, some leggings, some sweatpants. Then I had snow pants on. Then I had a compression shirt. What did I have on? I had a flannel, a hoodie, and then a hunting jacket on. And then I had some thin pair of gloves, some thick pair of gloves, and I had a face shield on and a beanie. Overall, though, my biggest impression is that I don't know if it's just because there were so many Tennessee people there. Like it seemed like it wasn't like they were all congregated in a one section. It was kind of just like as you looked out, there was just a lot of like orange speckled in there. Like you could just see a little orange, but it just wasn't that loud. Like
Yeah,
you could definitely feel it was hype in there, but it just wasn't. I don't know if it's just 104,000 people's like. I don't know if it makes sense to say it's too many people for it to be that loud, or if it's the stadium is too like far out from like the field. It just didn't feel that way. But I will say what we kind of said was when I bet Tennessee was like I'm betting Tennessee, with the hopes that Nico comes to play. That boy did not come to play. That it definitely the spotlight got to him a little bit. It was kind of that perfect storm for Ohio State of like, yes, the loss to Michigan is absolutely horrendous and will be one of the worst all-time losses in college football history. But it was kind of that fire that lit under their ass of like for the
hmm
playoff. It was like everybody saying we're dog water because we lost to Michigan and perfectly pissed off they don't have to play Michigan anymore.
yeah.
Uh, but I mean, overall, it was a great. We ended up leaving. I think it was like 3 minutes left in the third quarter, just because it was a blowout by then, and Ohio State had already started putting in some secondary guys, and it was cold. And but it was a great experience overall. I ended up tailgating with a family who has Sunday dinner with Urban Meyer every Sunday, and I may have misspoke a couple times because I originally started off the conversation. We were talking about Ohio State football as a whole. I was like, yeah, I just don't think Day's got it. I think Urban Meyer was a great coach here, not so great a person. And then they were like, whoa, they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. They were like, he's like, I'm really good friends with his wife, and I was like, oh, really?
He was
And
awesome. He was amazing.
yeah, but yeah, that was a fun experience. Overall, I mean, it was you just never know what's going to happen with college football next year. Like, is NCAA going to allow these home games anymore? Is what it's if you have an opportunity, you seize it.
Yeah. I Going back to what you said about it being not that loud. I've heard rumors. It's like people say because the one side is like completely open. It's like
Yeah.
almost a half ball. They say all the sound gets out there. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know how like
seemed like it. I was on the where the so a house they call it the horseshoe because it used to be a horseshoe. That one end zone, I think it's the south end zone, didn't have any stands.
yeah.
I was closer to where that was, and
Okay.
it was like, and that's like the sort of the side I was on, like kind of where the horseshoe before it hits that sideline.
Yeah.
So it was pretty. I mean, they had a cool little drone show though. I'll say they had a drone show during the game going on, but yeah, it seemed like it wasn't staying in that spot. It didn't seem like it was all that loud. It definitely was cool. Like they brought out all the stops for their game entrance. But what I thought was interesting is that because it's a playoff game, they have to do hype videos for both teams.
Yeah.
So like they played a hype video for Tennessee, but they only played it on the small jumbotron. They didn't play it on the big one. They played it on the small tiny one that's in the other end zone, and they just didn't play it on the big one. So, but I thought that was interesting.
It's kind of petty, but I guess
Yeah,
that's fair when it's your home stadium.
right.
But all right, well we'll jump into the games. We'll do a little bit of a recap because it's been a little while since those games happened. Try to refresh our memories before we talk about this week's games. I guess we'll start with Ohio State just because you kind of already dove into it a little bit. The Tennessee takeover was real. in the stands. The Tennessee takeover on the field was definitely not real. That game, so many storylines going into it. That was the game I was easily the most excited about going into it. When we were talking on the pod, I was like, more and more storylines kept popping into my head as I was talking. It was like my mind was going faster than my mouth. But yeah, there was only one story once the game started, and that was Ohio State was the better team on the field through and through, no matter what. Um, Tennessee couldn't move the ball. Dylan Sampson got hurt early in the first quarter. I think he came back in later in the game, but it was too late at that point, pretty
Yeah,
much.
could run the ball. It was a lot of like 2 yards,
Yeah,
stop,
exactly.
throw the ball, incomplete. Then you got to throw the ball again when you're third and long, and just it wasn't. I will say the first drive of the game when Ohio State they didn't call that face mask or they had that face mask called. That honestly changed a lot because Ohio
Hmm.
State was about to go 4 out and punt the ball, and the buddies I was with was like, this might be a game changer, and then the face mask got called and it was crazy. And we talked about that, after the game with the guys I was with, was like, I think that game would have been, I don't know if it would have been completely different, but it might have been a little bit different if that first drive kind of hadn't taken the air out of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I will say, Nico, we talk some shit, but like talented kid, obviously he tried. I mean, him running the ball was kind of the only offense they had
Yeah.
for the whole first half, pretty much. He got his helmet cracked almost in half on a hit on the
Yeah.
first drive.
Yeah.
That
That
was
was
insane.
crazy.
That was nuts. I've never seen that. I've seen like paint come off. Like Notre Dame, the paint always comes flying off their helmets. But to like put a giant crack in his helmet off a hit, that was nuts. And the crazy part was they scored with what, like 30 seconds left in the first half, and they went into the
Yeah.
half down 21-10, getting the ball out of half. There was a chance there to turn that game back on its head. It's just first start of the first half and the start of the second half, Ohio State just stomped on their throats pretty much. It was impressive. Will Howard, I talked a lot of shit about him.
Yeah. He
He's
stepped up.
he's cooking. He's cooking. If you're not named Michigan, he's probably cooked you in the last month. That's kind of all
Yeah,
there
I
is to
will
it.
say I know he's a pretty hated football player, but in my eyes, one of the most fun guys to watch is watching Jack Sawyer fly around on that field.
Oh
Like
yeah,
just he's electric. He gets that place jazzed up too. It seems like every
yeah,
time he was throwing his arms up in the air, everybody else was feeding off that energy. So
yeah.
it was fun to watch him kind of go out there and leave it all out in the field.
Yeah, no, he's a fun player. I'm interested to see how he translates to the league. That's kind of how I think about it a lot. I'm a big draft guy, so I'm always watching these guys, thinking about like, oh, how does that translate? How does that translate? Because I don't know how athletic he is, but his IQ is through the roof. He knows what he's
Yeah,
doing and knows where he should be on the field. That's kind of it. Go back to Friday, the first game. Notre Dame defeated Indiana in the in-state rivalry. 10-point game, but if you watch the game, it wasn't a 10-point game.
no,
Let's be honest here. Notre Dame was the more physical team. They were the more athletic team. They were the more ready team. They were the more energized team. And the crazy thing to me was that this Curtis Rourke looked like a true freshman. I
yeah.
like that. I think McElroy was on the call. He's like, "Oh, you guys are in for a treat." Curtis Rourke, he's a sixth year. He's like a pro's pro, and then he looked like a high school quarterback out there, man.
He
Like
looked overwhelmed.
it
He
was like
looked like he was lost.
overthrows. He was getting bad reads. He was throwing into that first interception he threw after they got that fumble. Dear God
So
Almighty,
bad.
it was so bad. It was so bad. They couldn't run the ball until like the third quarter, and they kind of just got away from the run game, which was the crazy part. Um, and Jeremiah Love had that 98-yard touchdown from there. It was oof, crazy. He's crazy. He's insane. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I wish he was. I thought he was draft eligible. I'm like, why is no one talking about it? I didn't realize that he has another year before he can even leave. That's insane.
Yeah,
Scary,
yeah.
scary.
This was the only game I won. Just to preface
Oh
my
yeah,
my bet slip. But yeah, I mean Jeremiah they ran that rock down their throat. Like it just was not. It wasn't hard at all. And what was even better is it was always these first down runs. He'd get 7, 8
hmm
yards on first down. They were able to take shots early on. And those long shots were able to either translate, and then if they're like, "Oh, long shot didn't work," just hand it off to the guy who's been pounding them the entire game, and then would run for another 5 or 6 yards on third down and convert. So it wasn't. I don't. It seemed like Indiana was very overwhelmed. I will say that punt. What was it with 6 minutes left in the game? Down
Oh God,
by
yeah. I forgot about that.
yeah, you're down by 2 scores with 6 minutes left in the game, and you punt the ball. Like Kurt
Yeah,
Signetti is I mean, not a great showing for somebody who got extended halfway through his first year with a program.
He got a massive contract. I forgot that happened. I was so angry at Cignetti that whole game. Like I obviously it's probably looking back, it's a little overreaction, but I'm like, dude, I'm so out on him right now, man. That punt was egregious. He said, what did he say afterward in his press conference? Do you remember that? It was
I
something
don't
like,
remember. I can find it, but
yeah, it
it
was
was
something
something
like
crazy.
we felt like our offense wasn't putting ourselves in the best chance to win. It's like, dude, you're down 17 with 6 minutes left on the other side of the field.
He essentially said that although he didn't want to punt, the situation his team's performance made it the best option.
Yeah, man. Like, what do you mean? They, oh God, I
Yeah, he
was.
said he didn't want to punt, but he felt like it was the best option considering the situation and how bad his team had played. His official punt was, "I did not want to punt, but I didn't want to go fourth and 10." Signetti said in his postgame press conference, "It's like you're wishing and hoping you have nothing to base it on that you can convert 4th and 10 at that point, and there's still time to punt if you win the game. So that's the reason why I didn't want to do it, but I felt like it was the best move."
It
It
just.
was they faced 4th and 11 on Notre Dame's 48-yard line with 10:45 remaining in the game. Whenever they were down,
I think
they
21.
were down 20-3.
It's just laughable. It really is. The other thing he did, I forgot, is that Notre Dame was going to do that stupid fake field goal thing. It was a 14-point game. Someone let me pull up the tweet that someone tweeted this, and um I agreed with it wholeheartedly. So they were going with a fake field goal up 14. Notre Dame was on like the 10-yard line. It was this weird thing where they lined up everybody outside and they threw a screen pass, and they tackled him short, and they got the
Yeah,
ball back. But then he had ended up calling timeout before the play. And this guy said it perfectly. He's like, let's say Cignetti really felt like his team was unprepared to stop this play. It's literally still worth letting it play out and hoping for the best because field goal / 17-point deficit is ball game. The chance at this staying 14-point game was a gift from the heavens, and he called timeout. I the coaching. I know they probably weren't going to win the game. They weren't the more talented team. They didn't seem like they were the more ready team. But he got out coached up and down the line by Marcus Freeman.
yeah, he did put himself in positions to win that game when he could have. When at least made it not look as bad. It seemed like him and Curtis worked both at the same thing. Spotlight was in their eyes for kind of the first time. Like, I mean, he kind of had the spotlight on him at JMU when they were like, "Oh, you should rank this team. They're playing in a bowl game. They're killing everybody." Like, that's you're not playing in the college football playoff.
Yeah, it's a different beast. It really is. Um, moving back into Saturday, we'll.
Sam also took Indiana +7 in this game. I can run through Sam's picks real
Oh
quick.
yeah, you could. Yeah, just do that quick.
He had Indiana +7, Clemson +12, Tennessee +7.5, and Jacksonville State +5.5. He went 1-3 in those bets.
Yeah,
So we all kind of got like shell shocked a little bit. This
yeah. We were hoping for some parity and we didn't get any. That's pretty much what it was.
right.
All right. Well, moving back into Saturday, unfortunately, Sam is not here to recount, but he was actually in attendance at this game. We covered half of the games the podcast was at, so that's pretty cool. Sorry I
He
didn't
was
pull my weight.
underdressed.
Yeah, he. I don't know what he did. He wasn't wearing enough clothes, and then his chili fell over. He'll have to tell the story next week,
Yeah.
but it's if you know Sam, you know he's probably heartbroken by that. That's all I'll say. Penn State defeated SMU, 2 pick sixes in the first half, ended the game 38-10. Ran the ball with ease in the second half. There's not much to say about this game. I mean, Drew didn't
No.
play well, but it was really cold. Kevin Jennings kept throwing to the wrong team. He thought they were wearing blue uniforms. Um, yeah, he looked shell shocked every time he was on the field. Like we talk about shell shocked. Oh my God, he's standing there with covering his ears trying to hear. It's like, dude, everyone knows that you're freaking out if you do that. You got to like have some composure a little bit. I don't know. That's how I felt.
Yeah, he didn't show. I mean, his statistics show that he handles, I guess, not the atmosphere, but the play style that Penn State ran. A lot of man defense and a lot of blitzing. I mean, they a lot of pressure. He just crumbled. Like
Yeah.
it just was bad all around. I mean, I picked SMU +8.5. I was just a sucker for thinking that like these games were gonna be close because they're playoff games. I just was like that typical playoff atmosphere. I kind of wanted to compare to my head to the NFL, I guess, or like
Yeah.
NBA or whatever. Where it's just you're gonna be close because these teams got here and yeah, the committee is definitely gonna have to do some soul searching next year with
Hmm.
I can't remember what the hypothetical playoff bracket would have been if it was just 1 through 12 or whatever. But I remember
Yeah.
it being sick. It was like 1 through 12, even with the Power Five or with a Group of Five bid or whatever, and it would have been a sick bracket.
Yeah, it just makes more sense.
Yeah, but this is where we got. We can't please everybody. Yeah, I mean, I'm only talking about this because the SMU game was terrible. But
Yeah.
good win for Penn State.
Yeah. I will say, it's the whole like commentating and everything talked about after these games. It's just so nauseating for me. I'm so over. I think I tweeted it out. I'm so over everything in college football just be whining about hindsight. Like every single thing that we do is just looking back. Oh, looking back now that we see what happened. This is terrible. First of all, the thing that I don't get is that you could see this stuff coming. I've said it before. Like if you just looked at how it was set up in the preseason, you could have seen stuff like this coming. And to say that these teams didn't deserve to make it after they lose a game is so beyond me. I just don't understand because they got blown out in a game where they're 8,000 miles away from where they're supposed to be. It's 50 degrees colder than what they're used to, and they're playing the better team on the road. It's just they're not supposed to win these games. I'll be honest.
No.
And you, we look at this. The difference between a top 5 team and a top 15 team is already pretty massive.
Yeah.
And then you give them home field advantage. This is what's going to happen. I don't understand what people were expecting to happen. I understand that Bama is probably a better team, but they didn't earn their way in.
No,
I,
they took a bad loss to Oklahoma. You lost to Vandy earlier in the year. You
it's,
can't assume. And we can all argue here. Like I wanted to argue till I'm blue in the face about South Carolina should have been in, but
yeah.
again, you got to take care of business in the regular season. A 3-loss team, no matter what, it is hard to argue. Unless we kind of had this year may have been the only year where we could start arguing a 9-3 team because of just all the crazy stuff that happened this year. I would think. I mean,
Mhm.
who knows? We could see the same thing again next year.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to fight for a 9-3 team to make it into a playoff when you have so many 11-1s, 10-2s, a single 12-0 team.
No, exactly. Think about it. You beat Vanderbilt or Oklahoma, there's no conversation. They're in the playoff. It's not even a conversation. All
If
you
you
have to
don't
do
lose
is
to Oklahoma, you're in because
exactly.
everybody was ready to write off the Vandy game as just fluke game. Like it was a hot team that had more going into the game than it was a letdown spot for Bama. They would have tossed that to the wind,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
gotta
Well,
gotta win the games.
exactly. I I feel like that it starts and ends there. Like
And
win
what's
your
great
game.
is we still have 7 games left. We have four, so we have 4 quarterfinal games left. We have 2 semifinal games left, and we still have a natty. So this is what's just going to happen. It's like we're not going to see these. Like you might see in the future a group of 5 team. Like I mean, Boise might be a different animal. Who knows? But a group of 5 team like UNLV or somebody keep it close with a number 5 team or something
Hmm.
down the future. But that's how this bracket's meant to be set up. It's not meant to be underdogs, 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 underdogs.
Yeah.
SEC. Best teams play the best teams, and that's coming from a guy who was hoping the SEC would kind of run through some of these teams. But
Yeah. Well, speaking of the SEC, moving into the last game, Texas defeated Clemson in what was probably the most entertaining game of all
yeah,
4. Um, Clemson put up a fight. I mean, Cade Klubnik played very, very well. I'll be honest. I was very impressed. Um, their wide receivers, we talked about it. They're talented. I said that they'd have a shot if they could really, if their wide receivers were going to be able to get open against the talented secondary, and they did, and they kind of had a shot. I know they won by 14, but it's not like they ran away with it. They did pull away a little. What was the biggest lead they had? They were up by 21 at one point. Clemson kept it close, entertaining. Not much to say there. Texas just ran the ball over. I think they had like almost 300 yards rushing. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to win a game when you give up 300 yards rushing. I'm sorry, especially to
yeah,
Texas. Texas isn't like a team that's known for smash mouth football, run all over you. But if you're going to let them do that and they don't even have to lean on yours at all, it's over. I'm sorry.
yeah. I had 2 pick. I had Clemson to cover, and I had the under in this game just because I kind of thought that Texas might be able to run all over them, and that their defense would kind of step up a little bit. But I mean, I really thought after watching, I mean, the first drive, Clemson just marched down the field with ease. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
7-0 in a blink, and I was like, this could get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, I look up and Clemson, Texas was up 14-7, and I was like, well, this could get interesting again. And then I sadly didn't get to watch a lot. I would try to go back and watch some highlights, but I was tailgating for the game and stuff. I called Hawk probably, I
Yeah.
don't know, six to eight drinks in with shots and mixed hot cider, like spiked cider and stuff in. And I was like, what's the score of the game? He's like, Texas won by 2 touchdowns. It's like, fuck. And then I was like, did the under hit? He goes, no, it went over. Like, fuck. And then I was like, all right, I'll let you know how this game goes.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I guess I'll run through. I kind of didn't run through my picks at all. I had the Texas minus 11.5 that hit. I had Indiana plus 7.5 that did not hit, and then I had the under in the first half of Ohio State Tennessee, and Ohio State I think almost covered it by themselves, so that did not hit either. It was a little closer than I thought, especially because Ohio State scored the first 3 drives of the game. I thought it was cooked. Uh, it had a pulse, but it died. So caught one win there. Not our best showing. I'll
No.
be honest, but it's the first year of the playoff. No one really knew how it was going to go. I guess it was Rock Chalk Jayhawk, pretty much.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
But let's move in. No more hypotheticals. No more hindsight. Move right into the quarterfinals. Why don't we? We'll start on New Year's Eve. Certain teams playing. The fighting Ashton Genties in the
Mhm.
Fiesta Bowl taking on your Penn State Nittany Lions. Last I checked, the line was at 11. I'm pretty sure. It might be fluctuating based off the book, but
Yeah,
um,
it was 10.5 today.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think the
So
over under's at like 53. I'm not gonna bet in this game.
too much riding in it.
Yeah,
Too much personal investment.
for real. I'm gonna be in Montreal trying to figure out how to watch this game not with uh, French broadcasters, hopefully. So that'll be interesting. Luke, why don't you give me your pick in this game, and then I'll go into it a little bit also.
Yeah, I mean, 10.5 is a lot of points.
Mm.
It's a lot of points. I might be getting suckered in because I'm like, oh, it's the quarterfinals, it's the playoff. But then what only thing that makes me nervous is that Boise State's run game is electric. You have Ashton Genty, best running back in the nation, arguably going to be considered one of the better ones, single seasons in history,
Hmm.
if not the best. But then when you take away that run game, it's like, what does Boise State kind of have left? Like, not much. I think that Penn State, you shut down Ashton Genty, you just play some decent man and keep 2 high safeties kind of going the whole time so they can't burn you over the top.
Yeah,
It should be wraps. I mean, it
yeah.
should be, and so that's how I'm leaning. So I went Penn State minus 10.5.
Hmm.
It's just it's a lot of points, and I'm kind of I think it's a mix of PTSD from last week. But I mean, that's just what I see. I know that Boise State has shown they can throw the ball, but against teams like UNLV or like,
Not Penn
and they're
State.
in the spotlight. It's Boise State playing in a college football semifinal. I think the highest ranked, or the highest bowl game they got prior to this was like that Tostitos Bowl against Oklahoma or whatever, where they did
Yeah,
the hook and ladder and
the
like,
Fiesta Bowl. They're undefeated in the Fiesta Bowl.
yeah, I know. So, but I mean, indoors, the weather's not going to be any factor. Penn State's going to travel well for this game.
Hmm.
Boise State doesn't have the fan base to even amount to whatever Penn State's going to bring out for that game.
Yeah,
It's going to be, that's what I think. And I think the points are a little long. I don't know why. I think the total is a little long at, what'd you say, 54.5?
I got 53, but it might be different.
53. I mean, that seems a little long because what I think is going to happen is going to be shut down Ashton Genty, but Boise State's not really going to do much with that, and then Penn State's just going to run the rock and just
Yeah,
kind of pound them to death, and just not saying it's going to be a rock fight, but they might go up big early, and then you're going to see second half just kind of how it went with SMU of just pound the rock. Pound the rock 3 times. If you still need to throw the ball on third down, then do it
yeah.
and kind of seal the game away. So I took the under in this game.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I like
yeah,
that.
I got it at 54.5 because I did look at this earlier because I am currently in Arkansas right now. So I looked at it a couple days prior whenever we kind of decided when we were going to record the podcast.
Yeah,
But I still would take the under at 53. I don't think it's going to be anything. I mean, the only thing I'd be nervous about is Penn State scoring 45 points and
yeah,
then Boise State possibly getting a touchdown in there.
yeah. Um, I see a lot of people, college football people, they see stuff like a roster game. This kind of feels like a spot that might just be a roster game. Like Penn State's roster is just unequivocally better than Boise State. I don't think I'm breaking any news to anybody there. I don't think I'm breaking anyone's heart when I say that. It's there's not really a comparison. Genty, he's gonna get his, man. Like the dude's talented. They're gonna hand him the rock a lot. He's probably gonna get. He's probably gonna go for 140, 150 at minimum. Like, let's be honest. But I think there's a lot of worlds where he can get his 150 and Penn State wins this game without too much sweat. There's a lot of pressure on Penn State to win this game. I'll say that. You kind of can't lose this game. The
Yeah.
same thing happened. It was the same thing as last week, but like you were set up well. They haven't won their big game. I mean, SMU was a big game. Don't get me wrong, but it was at home, and they look shell shocked. It'll be interesting. They just need to pound them up front, really. If it gets into true pass sets for Boise, like third and long, it might not go all that well for them. I'll be honest. I think that up front, it should be they should have little trouble up front running the ball on offense or getting after the quarterback on defense. It'll be interesting. Um, I love Genty, and I will be interested to see how he does against. I mean, he put up 202 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns against Oregon, so it's not like we haven't seen him do anything against good teams. He did that to the number one team in the country, the only team that hasn't lost all year. So it'll be interesting. But I know that our offense looks pretty good indoors, um, which I know it's small sample size, but I like Drew in the Big Ten championship game, really good. Last year against Michigan State in Ford Field, really good. So hopefully it carries over. But yeah, so no pick for me. Too much riding on it emotionally. I think same for Sam as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he didn't give us any. No, none of his picks included for the Penn State game. So
Yeah, he did throw in a Penn State minus 45. I don't know if that's a true pick of his, but he did. I will pass that
we
along
won't
to.
hold it to him.
Yeah, we'll pass that along at least. But moving into Wednesday, New Year's Day, 2025. God damn, 2025. That's crazy. Well, first game in 2025, we'll see the Texas Longhorns taking on the fighting Cam Scataboos. It's kind of how it is there too. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Lines at 13, over under at 51 and a half. I'll start us off here. I took the under 51 and a half. Um, Texas might have the best run defense in the country. They're up there for sure. I know stats wise, I'm pretty sure they're top five, but we know how crazy talented they are. The only team that's been able to run the ball consistently on them is the only team that's beat them all year, and that's Georgia. And Georgia's a different animal. Um, I'm not saying they're going to shut down Scattaboo, but I don't think he's going to go. I don't think you're going to see the same game that you saw to him in the Big 12 championship. That's all I'll say there. Um, and then other side of the ball, Texas. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball like they did against Clemson. And you know what? Well, I don't know to that degree. I don't know if you'll see 300 yards, but I think that they're going to lean on the run game a lot. I think that's what's going to bog down this game and kind of slow it down. I think Texas is just going to kind of try to grind them to death. And I think that Arizona State doesn't want to get into a horse race with Texas because they're not
yeah,
going to win that. I'm not going to lie. They're not going to win that. They're going to have to try to bog this game down as well, get it to a run game matchup, and hope that their best player on their team can make a couple plays. So 51 and a half is a little high for me. I think this game, like a 27 to 10, 27-17, somewhere in there.
yeah,
Um, I think Texas probably wins the game. 13 is just a little too much for me, especially when you got 11 and a half. I got it for Clemson, and that was at home. And Clemson's better than Arizona State, don't get me wrong, but there's variance there just because they have crazy talented running back. Their quarterback's playing well. Their defense can create turnovers like we saw in the Big 12 championship. Yeah, give me the under. I lean Texas, but it's a little too much points for my liking. What do you got?
yeah. I also took the under. I was actually on the phone with Brady. He was like, "I'm thinking over in this game." I'm like, I don't think so. But I'm going to go under as well, kind of for all the same reasons you said. And I took Arizona State plus 13.5 for the reason that I don't trust Quinn Ewers in this spot. Like it's
Yeah.
like if ASU watches the film against Clemson, shut down the run game for Texas and then force Quinn Ewers to throw the ball, which we've seen in certain situations. I will say that Georgia's defense is not the same as Arizona State's
Yeah.
defense by any stretch. But I mean, if you can keep him then third and longs, third and mediums, and force him to kind of throw the ball. If Texas is smart, they don't let him throw the ball any farther than 10 yards down the field. and they just because he just is not. I mean, he has flashes of that deep ball, but he doesn't. He's not a consistent deep ball threat, and what like people have thought he's going to be is this deep ball merchant, which he's
Yeah.
not. So I mean, I'd like 13.5. Again, this might actually be my sucker pick of the week of like just quarterfinals, whatever. But it's going to be a low scoring game, a lot of ball on the ground, kind of going to be hard unless somebody breaks off some long runs to kind of get that point spread that wide. Like it's going to be tough, and so put the ball in Quinn Ewers' hands, and I think you can keep this game in realistic terms close.
Yeah, I think the game script there is kind of correlated. I think if this game is gonna go over, it's because Texas blows them out of the water and puts up like 40 points.
Right, and
That
then
yeah.
yeah, and then Arizona State somehow scores 3 touchdowns, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the end of the game, maybe they pull some of the starters. That's how I see it would be going over.
The only thing I think that's good for Arizona is that they've had what 2-3 weeks at this point
Yeah,
of like I don't think rest versus rust applies as much in like football as like people talk about in, like baseball and stuff. I think it gives them a lot of time to prepare. I know they're down their top wide receiver, and I think it gives them time to prepare to kind of work some more schemes through some of their other weapons, and we might see
hmm
a lot more misdirection type runs because they have more than Scatabo to run the ball,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah,
so they're going to be able to hopefully have some misdirections and be able to kind of get some guys open in space.
yeah. No, Sam Levitt's a good quarterback too. I mean, he's not the most talented guy in the world, obviously, but he's done a great job. I mean, they're
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
playoff,
right.
but
And I think their coaching too is going to speak volumes as well. I think
yeah.
that they've rallied that team around, and team of destiny. Who knows? But
hmm Yeah, Kenny D
and then
singing Rod Wave.
Sam took Arizona plus 13. Arizona State plus 13 was his official pick
Oh, you're
for this
cooked.
game. Yeah,
Unfortunately, you're
yeah,
cooked.
dude. Every time. It's every time.
I might take Texas now. Not gonna lie.
It's every time. I will say though, we did. Well, I guess you didn't pick this week. Oh, I'm not going to bring up NFL. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
But
You'll have to tune in. Different episode.
yeah,
All right. That's halfway through. Let's do some trivia. Let's break it up a little bit. Uh,
yeah.
we got a smaller group of trivia this week. No Penn State questions for Sam. So I got a couple questions for Luke. Keep you on your toes, but I won't hold you too long. I got two questions. Two questions. Both Auburn. I'll give you
Okay.
that hint. So first question. Cam Coleman, electric freshman season, gaudy numbers, one-handed catches, incredible season. Looks like superstar in the making. He was highly touted coming out of high school. Second highest recruit in Auburn history, according
Uh,
to 24/7 Sports. Do you know who number one is?
Bo Nix was number one, I believe.
That is not
Oh,
what I
it's not
saw.
Bo Nix.
I will say, I'll give you a hint. I didn't know the guy.
You didn't know him.
I didn't know him. He
So
made the NFL, but he did not stick around.
number one out of
And I
high
got
school.
one more hint if you need it.
Can I get a position? Is that what's the? Well, I need a hint. I can't.
He's
I
on
forget.
defense. There's a
He's on
different hint.
defense. Oh! He did, but he didn't do much.
He didn't do much.
Because I would lead me to think Derek Brown, but Derek Brown's been a monster for Carolina.
Yeah, Derek Brown I think was top 5 or
Yeah,
10.
he's been a monster. Bo Nix is up there though, which
Yeah,
sucks.
oh yeah, he
Didn't
is.
do anything. He's on defense.
Yeah. My last hint is that he transferred away from Auburn before the end of his career.
Transferred out of Auburn, but he didn't do anything. Carlton the third, he's still playing. He's still at Tampa Bay, I think. I don't know. I actually don't know this.
Well, now you got me a little nervous, so I'm going to go confirm that I have the right guy. But
Because
when I
Bo
look,
Nix was like the guy. Like whenever it was like
mm-hmm. I have here, it says Byron Cowart. Byron Cowart,
never even.
2015, transferred to Maryland. Played a couple
I
games
guess
for
that
the
makes sense.
Bears, I'm pretty sure. You've never even heard of him?
Okay, fun fact. As of this year, we have the new highest.
Oh, okay. Who's that?
Deuce Knight.
Oh, he's
That's
number
our
one?
5-star. He's our new number one recruit of all time.
Okay. Well, that'll make that question easier in the future.
Yeah, in the future.
Yeah, that was a hard one just because
That was tough.
I have no clue who that guy is, and I don't think he
Yeah.
was that good for Auburn. And he transferred to
No.
Maryland, and then he got drafted. I think he played 4 years, but he didn't play a full season.
Yeah, I got a Penn State question for you.
Oh, we're going back and forth. I like it.
Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
I like it.
While at Penn State University,
Oh,
Will Levis threw one touchdown against a non-conference team. What was that team?
Will Levis threw one. That's a good question. That's a really good question.
That would have been what, like 2019? I don't have dates in
Yeah,
front of me.
2019. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is it a bowl game?
It was not. It wouldn't have been. It would have been early because remember he was starter. He was starter. He was starter 2019, I thought, and then he got
No,
benched.
he came in. They Sean Clifford was the starter, but then they benched him for Levis.
I will say this team, they wouldn't have played this team in a bowl because it's a small
Yeah.
school.
Okay.
They wouldn't have played this team in a bowl game.
Yeah, that makes me think he came in late, maybe, because he came in the middle of the Ohio State game in 2019, and he like almost brought us back. We were like, oh my god, dude, this dude's gonna be so good. And then the next week we played Iowa, and he had the worst game I've ever seen. And they put Clifford back in, and Clifford started playing well. We're like, oh, we fixed him. And then he threw a 80-yard pick six to a dude that's like 350, and he got stiff armed. I was like, never mind, we're just terrible. Conference, small school,
Do
2019.
you want like the side of the country that it's on?
Yeah,
It's on the western half of the United States.
shoot, I was
So
gonna.
if the half line is going like straight through like
Yeah,
Missouri and Arkansas, or like through like that, it'd be to the western side of it.
who did we play in 2019? Because I was thinking App State, but it can't be them. They're in North Carolina.
Would have been your freshman year. I imagine you went to every Penn State game possible.
I did. Oh, you know who it probably is?
Yeah.
Is it Idaho?
It is Idaho.
Yeah, I remember that game because everyone in the stands was like, Idaho, Idaho. I'm like, why are we clowning Idaho, dude? Like, they suck. I think we beat them like 55, 56 to nothing or something. It was bad. Um, Fun times though. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You saying it was my freshman year, it clicked immediately because I remember that game way too vividly for some reason. Freshman year was sick because I had the dorm. My dorm building was the closest one to the stadium. So like
Oh yeah.
we would just sit in my dorm room and like, all right, we're going into the game, and we go straight in from there. I was kind of a loser freshman year, so I'd just sit with my roommate and Maddie, and then we just go into the game. Oh, good times. That's a good question. Damn. All right, I got one more question for you though.
Okay.
Auburn had some troubles this year passing,
We did.
though they've been a passing powerhouse at times in the last few decades. Can you tell me who owns the record for most passing yards in a game by an Auburn quarterback? I'll give you extra points if you tell me the game and the year. And I'll sell you my house if you tell me how many yards.
I want to say it's Jared Stidham because it would have Bo Nix wasn't really passing the rock like that. He was, but he wasn't accurate. Like it was a lot of deep balls for picks, and like he was an offensive.
Scrambling around.
He's scrambling around.
Yeah.
Like got Gus Miles on offense, and Jared Stidham kind of like broke that mold because he wasn't super mobile, but he slung that rock.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was like Sean Smith or something, or like something totally random game. And Nick Marshall never threw the ball. I mean, you saw that thing that I sent you where we had 500 rushing yards on Missouri in the 2013 SEC title game and had like 130 passing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Jared Stidham.
Final answer.
Final answer.
That is incorrect.
What year? Or no, wait. How far back does this go?
It's
Is it
all time. It's all time, but I'll tell you, it's like during like your lifetime. So it's the
Maybe
all-time
it had to be
record.
Cam Newton then.
Do you want the answer?
If it's not Cam Newton or Jared Stidham, I'd be amazed.
The correct answer was Nick Marshall.
No way.
Nick Marshall in the 2014 Iron Bowl threw for 456 yards in a 55-44 loss at Alabama.
That's kind of crazy.
456
That game's kind
yards.
of a blur for me, I guess. That season was kind of a blur after because it's kind of like I feel like I had 2014. I had a hangover from 2013.
I bet.
Like just like you had the two crazy games, and then you had the losing the national title,
Yeah.
and like I was kind of hungover, I guess, for all of 2014 as a young 14-year-old.
Yeah, I bet.
But that's crazy. I was like, dude, there's no way.
Dude, when you
And
said
then
it's Nick Marshall, I was like, oh shit.
that's crazy. I guess that does make sense now. I'm thinking about that 2014 game.
Yeah,
But
losing.
all right, I've got two good questions.
All right, hit me with both. Hit me with
I have
both.
some good questions.
All right.
Other than the Pinstripe Bowl This time period is from 2005 to 2019. Other than the Pinstripe Bowl, Penn State played one bowl game outside of Texas, Florida, or California since 2000. Who did they play in that game? That might be a tough question.
Can you say it one more time?
Other than the Pinstripe Bowl, Penn State played one bowl game that wasn't an opponent of Texas, Florida, like the state of Texas, Florida, or California since 2000. Who did they play in that one bowl game? I don't have the bowl game. This is all going off of Sporkle. This
Their
might be tough.
opponent
This
is
might
from
be too tough.
no, the opponent's from that state, not like their bowl
They're
game is
not.
in the state.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not in that state.
Okay.
Their opponent is not from Texas, Florida, California. That's crazy. That since from 2000 to 2019, you only played teams from Texas, Florida, or California
That is nuts. And you said outside of the Pinstripe Bowl?
outside of the Pinstripe Bowl.
Okay, because I was at the Pinstripe Bowl when we played Boston College, so I was going to say that. Ooh. Say the states one more time. What 3 states was it?
It was Texas, Florida, or California.
It's
Those are the
Tennessee.
only teams. It's Washington. I don't know the dates. I don't know the things or whatever. I can try to find them.
Oh, we did play Washington in 2017. What was the question? It was since when?
Since 2000.
Really? I thought we
But
played
this time period is from 2005 to 2019. So, but I got one that's
I could have swore we played Tennessee. I'm tweaking? No, because I went to a bowl game where we played Tennessee.
dude. I don't know.
Interesting.
I might be wrong.
Unless it was the Pinstripe Bowl. That's a good question, though. If that's factually correct.
Okay, this is a funny question because this is one of your. Who do you know who the MVP was of the 2014 Pinstripe Bowl?
It's one of 2 guys. It's Hackenberg or Godwin. It had to be Hackenberg.
It was Hackenberg.
Yeah, he threw a long touchdown to Godwin. That was when Godwin was like his freshman year, I'm pretty sure. He didn't play all year. And then he threw a long touchdown to him. And then when I was on my train ride home, our train ran over 3 deer and it shut down like on the tracks. Because we were riding the train and it sounded like we ran over a bundle of sticks. They're like, yeah, and then we get out, they stopped the train because like all the lights shut off. And we're walking up down the side of the train to go to a different train to get on, and the whole train is splattered in blood. And they're like, yeah, we ran over 3 deer. It's like, oh,
Yikes.
dear God. So that was a
Yikes.
memorable story.
And then I have one more quick because this is just filled with good questions. Who led Penn State in rushing touchdowns in 2014?
Zach Zwinnak.
Incorrect. You want one more guess?
Yeah, give me one more guess. Give me one more guess. Damn, really? I thought for sure that's him. Bill Belton.
It was Bill Belton in 2014.
Oh, my effort.
All right,
That
that
team
wraps
was
up our trivia segment, I guess, for this week. We don't
another.
have Sam here. I went over, but somebody had to take Sam's place.
I was gonna say. So Sam tied Luke for the first time. It's his best showing, and he wasn't even here.
Yep.
But moving back into the games. Next game up, probably the biggest game. Big rematch. Ohio State, 2.5-point favorites against their. I was gonna say lone loss. Definitely not their lone loss on the season.
No, not their lone loss.
Definitely not their lone loss. But their first loss, Oregon. 2.5-point favorites on a neutral field to a team they lost to by 1 on the road earlier in the year. Line is at 2.5 last time I checked.
Mm-hmm.
Over
2.5.
Over under I think 55.5, something like that. I think I'm gonna be going with. I didn't take it yet because I've been mulling over this game. Okay, yeah, I've been mulling over this game. I'm gonna go with Ohio State.
You're gonna go for Ohio State.
I'm gonna go with Ohio State here.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm so glad to hear you say that.
I think they're gonna be able to run the ball. Crazy. I think they had like 100-something rushing yards in the first half last time they played, and then they only had like 6 carries the rest of the game. Will Howard's playing his best basketball. Yeesh. Will Howard is playing his best football. Surprise, surprise of the year. They're going to be able to run the ball. I think that's going to be the big thing here. They're going to get after the quarterback. Dylan Gabriel's really good. Don't get me wrong. And this Oregon team is really good. Don't get me wrong. But maybe a little bit of that rest versus rust thing. Ohio State's clicking on all cylinders. They're pissed off. They're trying to revenge their one loss that wasn't Michigan. Yeah, give me Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm taking Ohio State. They're a totally different team. Like it's especially after that. Like I never want to say like you should have lost to Michigan because you definitely shouldn't have. But I don't think Ohio State would have the the hungry dog that they have
Mm-hmm.
now that they would have had. I mean, but Oregon, they got a Lamborghini for an offense. Like
Yeah.
watching them go up against Penn State, like it was just like scoring and numbers, just raining fire from the heavens of just So is Ohio State gonna be able to keep up with that? I mean, I think what low key might kill Ohio State is how penalized their secondary is. If that's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen, dude, because Oregon's gonna throw that ball, and if Igbinosun is just
Dude, he is so
PI in everything,
handsy. So
he's
handsy.
the most penalized corner in the country as
I
a
believe it.
freshman,
I believe it.
and I mean, he's got a super tall ceiling. Like he's gonna be
Oh
a
yeah.
top corner in the draft when it's time for him to come around. If he limits the things, but I think that could be the only crutch. But I am taking them -2.5. It's hard to beat the same team twice. It really
Yeah.
is. I know we saw Georgia do it against Texas, but it's gonna be really hard to beat this team twice. It is in California, the Rose Bowl, so it is kind of a home game for Oregon. But I mean, it's Rose Bowl. People are going to
Yeah,
travel
they'll travel.
regardless.
Yeah.
It's New Year's. People are going to be out in California. There was a slight possibility that I went because the guy that actually officiated our wedding is a part-time owner of a skybox at the Rose Bowl.
Oh my
So
god.
we were talking about going, but it just didn't work out. The stars didn't align.
Mm.
But I think Oregon's going to be able to. I'm not going to say they're going to be able to. Not Oregon. I don't think Ohio State's going to be able to handle this game, obviously, but I think that they're going to be able to probably put up a better showing than they did last time. And really, I mean, they should have arguably beaten Oregon. I mean, if Will Howard didn't stupid slide at the end, or if they managed their clock a little bit better, that game could have been totally different. They could have kicked a
Yeah.
field goal and walked away winning that game.
Yeah. Or that
But yeah,
OPI late in the game too that people kind of
yeah,
forget about.
that was a tough call.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like a
It felt a
50-50
little. It
call.
felt a little Philly. It felt a little Philly, Kansas City. Like can't really call that in that situation, but at the
Yeah.
same time,
Yeah.
interesting spot.
In real time I like the call, and then I've seen the replay, and it was just kind of like he's just bigger. Like he just kind of
Yeah.
was the bigger dude, and I don't like penalizing guys just because like he spent more time in the weight room. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and like the total scares me in this game because that's a lot of points. But then again, it's kind of like betting the under for Oregon. Kind of like betting the under for like Detroit earlier in the
Yeah.
year. It's kind of like you didn't want to. If you're gonna bet anything, you want to bet the over. But who knows? Is this the game where their offense sputters? Is this the game? But again, I don't think the rest versus rest applies here. Oregon having 3 weeks to prepare is going to could help them, could not. I don't know. I'm excited for this game. I'm glad it's at 5. It's like you got a perfect amount of time to recover from any shenanigans that went on the night before, but it's
Yeah.
not like so late where you because you got to go to work the next day.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I don't have
exactly.
to wait till 8. I don't have to wait till 8:45 for this game to start.
Yeah. Yeah, I will be car watching with that one, unfortunately, because I will be in the
Yeah.
car. So all these games will be streamed on my phone. You know, the best way to watch a game, obviously.
Yep.
Um,
You'll probably still be asleep for the game we're probably gonna talk about next.
yeah, we'll see. But we'll hop right into that one. Um, Notre Dame, Georgia. I forget what bowl game this is or where it's going to be.
It's the Sugar Bowl, so
Sugar
it's in
Bowl.
where is that in Dallas? No, that's not in Dallas. Where's the Sugar Bowl held?
Isn't that New Orleans?
New Orleans. It is. It is
Hmm.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Notre Dame, Georgia. Rivalry game, kind of.
Kind
Kind
of.
of. Yeah, a little bit. But very interesting storylines here.
Oh wait, we didn't give Sam's pick.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Sam took Oregon +2.5. So thank God, thank the Lord.
Sam has faded the fellas.
Yeah,
So the fellas are
love you,
feeling good.
Sam. I know you're gonna be listening.
Yeah. Well, we hope.
Yeah, we
If
hope.
we can't get Sam to listen, then we might be in a tough spot.
Right.
But Notre Dame, Georgia, line is at 1.5. Opened at 1.5 Notre Dame. Believe it has flipped to 1.5 Georgia.
It's been sitting at 1.5 for a couple days now.
Yeah, I think it
Or-
flipped like almost immediately.
Yeah.
Um, Gunnar Stockton playing quarterback for Georgia.
Is Beck declared for the draft?
Yeah, don't
Kind of
agree with that one.
don't agree with that one either. I
Not gonna
saw the
lie.
top comment on Instagram or something was like, better freshen up on your Indeed profile.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for sure. Over under set at 44.5. Very low, but at the same time, you got one offense that's built off running the ball. Your quarterback is big on running the ball instead of throwing. and the other one is a backup quarterback who I'm sure he was a 4 or 5 star, but at the same time, it's like you still lost your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
It's gonna hit you
What a
at some
name
point.
though. What a name though.
Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah.
He sounds like he's raring to go. I'm not gonna lie. He took that I know we talked about it last time, but that massive hit he took in the SEC championship right at the end, where his helmet went back like 30 yards. Like
Yeah.
he's a gamer though.
He graduated high he left, he was a top 10 QB in the country. Graduated high school early to come to Georgia.
Yeah, I
What
think he's a
year
Georgia
was
kid.
this? He was a 2020 class.
Yeah, so he's been
So he's
around.
still yeah, or no, he's class of 2022. He's a 94 overall, 4-star player rating. 24/7 has him at a 95. So he graduated early. 24/7 has him as the number 7 quarterback in the country out of the 2022 class.
Hmm.
So, I mean, he's got the apparently his final 5 that he had his senior year was Arkansas State, Arkansas, Appalachian State, Alabama, and Georgia.
What the?
That was his
Okay,
final 5, and he
all
chose
right.
Georgia.
Tough decision there. It sounds like a CFB 25 type of decision, but
Yeah.
that's kind of it. Luke, why don't you give me your thoughts here? You got an SEC team here. I want to hear what you
Yeah,
got to say.
I took Georgia minus 1.5 solely
Hmm.
because I think that Notre Dame's not going to be able to run the ball. Is my thought. The Georgia
Hmm.
front 7 is insane. They've been insane since what 2018, 2019 when they really started. I can't remember who their coach is, but it's been basically the same coach that's just been recruiting. Not their head coach. It's not Kirby Smart, but it's their defensive coordinator, their linebacker slash D line coach has been just recruiting guys crazy, and
Yeah,
they're putting guys through the league like crazy. Um, so I just don't think that they're necessarily going to be able to run the ball, and that's why I also think the under is going to be in play because I don't trust you putting the ball in Cook's and why am I blanking on his name? Can you
ETN.
give me the name of the Notre Dame quarterback?
Oh, Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard. I don't know why I
Yeah.
wanted to say Brady Quinn, but
Damn,
Yeah,
throwback.
I know Riley Leonard. If you put the ball in his hands, don't think a lot of magic's going to happen. We kind of saw what's going to happen with Gunnar Stockton in the SEC championship. Not a lot of deep balls, just
Yeah,
kind of a lot of option. If the first or second read's not open, then just tuck it and run. But who knows? He's had 3 weeks to get the system. They've probably known Beck's going to be out. They've known the public has at least known for the last week that he was going to be out, but they've probably known since the game that like he wasn't going to play. So they've
yeah,
probably been having Stockton running with the ones and implementing some stuff. And I mean, he's got the recruiting profile to fit the description. It's just going to be is that light going to shine too bright kind of
yeah,
moment. But I mean, I think Georgia's going to be able to handle business. 1.5, it's a pick 'em at that point. So that's where I'm sitting with that.
yeah. I think I'm going the same way. It's just hard. It feels like too easy. It feels like
It
hitting the too
does.
easy button. Um,
But who knows? I've also been an advocate that Notre Dame's way more legit than people are giving them credit for all year. So
yeah,
I feel bad going against that. But like I had part of me is feeling better that it's Stockton rather than Beck. Like I feel like Beck would be trying to do too much or trying to
yeah. Turn the ball
do
over.
certain. Yeah, and so I think Stockton's going to be a little bit more mindful. I would think he might make a mistake uh, early. Hopefully that mistake is early and not late in the game. But
Yeah, I mean, I think Trevor Etienne is the X factor here. If they're going to be able to run the ball, I mean, they're going to have to be able to run the ball. That's the thing. I
yeah,
mean, you don't have your starting quarterback, and Notre Dame's strength is their secondary. So it's all gonna come back to it if Georgia can run the ball. Because I think like Notre Dame's going to get theirs on the ground, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, like you said. Georgia's a different front than Indiana, clearly. And to be honest, Indiana kind of slowed them down. They had the 98-yard touchdown run, and they didn't go crazy otherwise on the
no,
ground. They just like consistently beat them down and were just more talented. And the Indiana
and
offense
I'll
was nowhere to
coach
be
them.
found. Yeah, and they outcoached them. It'll be interesting. I'm gonna roll with Georgia here, but
I
I don't.
also took the under in this. By the
Yeah,
way, I don't know if I said that or not.
it's
I took the under.
low. It's
It is low,
low.
but it is low. But again, it's going to be a lot of 2 clock ball
Yeah,
on the ground type of game.
yeah. So I'm gonna roll with Georgia here, and unfortunately, Sam is gonna complete the threesome here.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame
Why?
is the lock of the century, unfortunately.
Why?
Unfortunately, Notre Dame is the send your kids to Bali mortal max of the century. That's kind of all there is to it, fellas.
Do you have a dog of the week in this thing? Because I mean, I picked one just out of because it's kind of weird. Because let's look at all the underdog lines here. Boise
Yeah.
State's plus 340,
Yeah.
Arizona State's plus 350, Oregon's plus 112, and Notre Dame's plus 104.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to pick a dog of the week, I know it sucks because it's only plus 104, but I'd go to Notre Dame because that's just, I mean, I'm not going to pick somebody who's 340, 350. I think those guys are going to get beat. But if we're going to pick, if we're going to purely pick just because we have to hit a certain standard, then I want to pick Arizona State. So it just depends how we want to roll.
Yeah. I don't think. I think we can pass over it this week.
Yeah.
It'd be disingenuous of us
At
to.
this point with these many games, so we'll
Yeah.
leave dog of the weeks for the NFL for the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but
But
I guess that means someone's the winner. Oh, it's me. It's me. We should definitely not do it this week.
yeah.
But I got
The only thing I wanted to touch on was we are recording this on the 28th. It is Saturday. We just witnessed the Pop Tart Bowl where
electric.
Cam Ward pulled himself out at halftime, and I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that or if that was
I'm not
some
surprised.
immediate reactions.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not even that mad, to be honest.
No, I'm seeing mixed emotions on Twitter of like people kind of being like either like it's not like a bad thing, it's just rare, it's unexpected. Like
yeah,
he's given a backup a chance who's going to be the starter, ideally the starter next year to
yeah,
compete in a
exactly.
close game like that.
Yeah,
And he's already proven himself. Like it's a Pop Tart Bowl, sickest trophy in college football, by the way. It has a operable freaking micro or oven in it or whatever,
yeah.
toaster oven. So that's pretty sick.
And then the mascot is edible.
Yeah, I saw somebody advocating on Twitter for like if they eliminate home games for the playoff next year, that the Pop Tart Bowl should be one of the opening round games, and I'm here for it.
I'm down for that. I'm
Dude,
down
they
for that
became
for sure.
all the mascots. They killed the strawberry Pop Tart to end the game, and then resurrected him at the end. That's just great.
Dude, that's what college football's all about, man. I'll be honest. Um, I may have someone. My roommate from school is here.
Okay,
I'm gonna see if he wants to give a guest pick for the
if he
week.
has to, if unless he wants to have if he has a pick in all the games.
Let's see,
Let's run a
Nate.
quick over.
Nate, do you want to give a guest pick? Hold on, let me set you up here. All right, Nate. College football playoff. I need you to give us a guest pick here.
Obviously.
Okay, here we go. We got Penn State by 1,000,000 as an official pick. Penn State minus 999,999.5. That's your official pick?
My official pick?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. You gotta give us one.
Notre Dame plus whatever they're plus.
Oh.
Notre Dame plus 1.5.
Our official guest pick from Nate, Notre Dame plus 1.5. He has faded all three of us.
Yes.
That's electric. Well,
I don't have Ben here. Ben is not here. He is currently in Dallas attending a rave. So I
oh
did
dear
not
God.
get a yeah. So dear God is correct. I did not get a mega mortal feed the kids parlay create generational wealth parlay. I did not
Well,
get any of
that's
that.
that's unfortunate because it was definitely going to hit this time.
Yeah, 30 legs.
All right. Well, that's all we got for this week. Next episode, Sam will be back. Hopefully he's off his deathbed and gets his panties out of a twist. But thank you guys for listening. Luke, hit us
Yeah.
with the @
Yeah, follow us on Twitter, Not So Hot Takes 2 underscores, and subscribe to the YouTube Not So Hot Takes, and then takes again with 2 S's if you're looking up the direct @. But we appreciate you guys. The season is sadly coming to an end, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll discuss later on, down the line, how we will proceed in the off season, but we appreciate you all and bet responsibly.
Yes, sir. And enjoy the games. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you guys later.
See ya.